Hi friends, in this video we'll look at some of the basic commands related to images. To list all the available commands in Docker, you type Docker in the command prompt and this will list you all the commands that you can use with Docker. You can also use Docker help and this will also give you the same all the commands that you can use. You can use options with Docker and you can use management commands. Basically, if you're working with any of the Docker components like containers, images, or network, you can use management commands and also child commands. And we look into one of the child commands called pull in our previous session. What it does is it pulls the image from the repository, okay, and we pull the hello world image from Docker Hub. So now let's look at one of the management commands called image, and let's type in here Docker image. And if you're not sure about the child commands that you can use with image, what you can do is just hit enter and this will list you all the available child commands for Docker image, okay. And if you see here, these are all, if you see commands, these are all the commands that you can use with Docker. Whereas if you type in a particular management command, here is Docker image, and if you hit enter, that will list you all the child commands of that management command. I guess that is clear. So let's list all the images that are available locally. So if you see here, there is a command called ls, and what it does is it lists all the images. So let's type Docker and say ls, and you can see that we have hello world image, which we pulled in our previous session by using pull command from Docker Hub. Then let's scroll up and see that there is one command, child command for Docker, that is run. What it does is it runs a command in a new container. So let's try to run the hello world image. Okay, use Docker run command and say hello world and hit enter. So what it does is it creates a container, okay. And how we can check that? If you say Docker container ls, this will basically give you zero list, okay. So let's, where hyphen a is nothing but showing you all the previously executed containers, and you can see that the status is exited. We'll look at Docker container command in our future sessions, but for now let's focus on our Docker image command. So let's go back to Docker image, and we saw the ls list images. Let's look at remove command, and what it does is it removes one or more images. So let's try to remove our hello world. So before that, let's list our image and let's try to remove this image, give the name of the repository, that is the image, Docker image hello world, and before that rm, yes. So it is the management command followed with the child command and the repository name, that is hello world. And if you hit enter here, what will happen is you'll get an error. Let's look at the error. So if you see, it says container e1 is using its reference. So what it means is there is a container already available that is related to your image. So if you see that here, even we listed our previously executed container, the container ID is E1, and you can see the same here. Though it is in exited, that is stopped state, okay, it is still related to the image. So you cannot remove any image that has any referenced container. So to remove an image, we need to remove the container first. So just let's try to remove the container again. We'll be looking into, there will be a separate session for container commands, but for now just try to remove it. Container prune, and I'll say enter. I'll remove all the stopped container. Now if I try to remove the image, okay, and let's see what happens. Yes, so it successfully untagged and removed, that is deleted the image. So now let's try to list the image, and you can see that there are none or no images available. So let's see some of other commands. We saw ls, we also saw remove. There are many other commands like build. We'll be looking at to build when we are creating our own images, okay, and we'll look at pull, push, okay, tag, okay, all these commands when we are working with a repository where we are trying to push and pull our images to Docker Hub. So I guess that's all with the Docker image, but let's try to look at one command that is we already executed, that is run command. Now if you see here, Docker run hello world, what this did was it actually executed the image and created a container, right? Now what if I try to run again in an image that is now not available locally? So what it does is, let's try to run it again and say hit enter, and you can see that it says unable to find the image locally. So what it did is, next step, it went to the Docker Hub, pulled the latest copy of the image that we specified in the Docker run command, and it downloaded that. Okay, it downloaded that with the image name and the latest. See, if you don't specify the tag, it pulls the latest tag version from the repository, and then it ran it and created a container. So now if we try to view Docker image ls, and you can see that a repository is already pulled. And same way, if you try to say container ls a, and you can see that a container was executed, which is in stopped status 53 seconds ago. So that's what a Docker run command can do. It will check if the image is locally available. If not, okay, it will pull from the repository. So that's all for the session. See you in the next.